Good morning. I'm Ari Axelrod. I'm a Hays County resident and I live in Precinct 3. I retired Lieutenant Colonel from the United States Army, and the systematic abuse, denial of constitutional rights, and oppression I've experienced and witnessed by Hays County officials is offensive and it will not be tolerated. Last month I spoke before you about the the persecution of my wife that started with a bogus traffic ticket written by Deputy Constable John Shellhorn and ended with a unanimous not guilty verdict by a Hays County jury. I spoke of Shellhorn's and Constable Ray Helms' criminal past, and it didn't take long for the retaliation to begin. I later shared my comments on Ray Helms' official Precinct 3 Constable Facebook page, and my comments were deleted while laudatory comments were allowed to remain. Helms' actions could be chargeable as a Class B misdemeanor or worse, a third-degree felony. I immediately reached out to Helm, who then blocked me from viewing his page, and his response was to order me not to contact him again. Helm is the elected constable for the precinct in which I live, and according to my elected constable, I am not allowed to contact him, unless, of course, I want to risk further retaliation by Helm or his criminal underling Shellhorn. Helm's official oppression and willful deprivation of my constitutional rights wasn't enough. Helm's employee, Shellhorn, retaliated by complaining to the Hays County Sheriff that I disclosed his criminal past. Shellhorn conveniently ignored the fact that it was the Hays County District Attorney's Office who disclosed the criminal history that was used against him in public judicial proceedings. Shellhorn failed to consider that his complaint confirmed his criminal past, and the cited statutes do not apply to me. Instead of declining to investigate the complaint or referring it to an outside agency to avoid the shockingly obvious conflict of interest, a Hays County Sheriff's Office detective had the audacity to seek interviews with me and my wife. The investigatory and charging decisions on Shellhorn's retaliatory complaint should reside beyond the reach of Hays County officials in any capacity. It appears that Shellhorn knowingly misused instrumentalities of law enforcement to oppress me and my family under the color of law. I stand here today to tell each of you, Helm, Shellhorn, and the Hays County Sheriff's Office, that I will not go quietly into the night. I will continue to exercise the freedoms and rights so valiantly fought and paid for with the blood of patriots. To Helm and Shellhorn, the flag may be nothing more than a prop to stand in front of for a photo op. But for those who gave the ultimate sacrifice, those who served, and for their families and loved ones, it is much, much more. I also stand before you today to ask that your upcoming budget not provide one single penny more than statutorily required minimum to Helms' office. Those who abuse their authority should not be enabled by this court.
Thank you, Mr. Axelrod. Matt Hofer. Good morning, Mr. Hofer.
Morning. I don't know if it's really fair that I have to follow that, but I too came down here this morning to speak about conflicts of interest. I realize Mr. Wisnett doesn't give two squirts about that because of who runs his office, so he loves conflicts of interest. But the rest of you should have a little bit of integrity and start doing the right thing in this county. And I realize, y'all are out there doing important things like trying to secure your next $5,000 campaign donation by luring companies here, by giving them free land and tax breaks and all this other stuff so that they can fund your campaigns and send you on vacations and all those important things. But maybe at some point y'all can carve out just a little bit of time to actually perform the administrative duties of your office with which the Constitution of this state has granted you and bestowed upon you. Maybe taking a look at the conflict of interest that's woefully inadequate section of the Hays County Sheriff's Office would be a good place to start. I doubt if any of y'all have read it. I could send a copy to you if you'd like, but it is absolutely ridiculous. We've got it looks like the Hays County elections lady back here, and you're going to be hearing more in the upcoming months about her son and some of his misdeeds, and it will be all played out in the court of law, so there'll be a transcript that I can provide to each of you. And then probably a few months after that, there'll be a federal lawsuit so that y'all can read some more transcripts about it. I guess the only way to get you folks to understand that some of us are tired of your crap is for us to drag you into court, depose you, find out every damn thing we can find out about you, and put that up against what we already know about you so that we can get to the real truth of the matter of what goes on in this county. I'd also like to echo the sentiments of my fellow Hays County refugee here, Mr. Axelrod, and say that it's incumbent upon this court not only to not give another penny to these departments that are acting with such animus towards citizens, but y'all should drastically slash the budgets of these oppressors. I find it just astounding that I read an article in the Austin American-Statesman, which, their accuracy, I guess, is up to the eye of the beholder, but if their reporting is accurate in any sense, we've got an elected district attorney that conspired with a law enforcement officer to not only defy the law, but to defy a court order of a district judge here in Hays County. And I'll bet y'all are going to give him more money, aren't you? So he can go after more people, aren't you? I can already see it on Ray's face. He can't wait to give me more money. Y'all are going to give more money, aren't you? Does anybody want to nod? Does anybody want to acknowledge? Yeah, I didn't think so. Well, I'll tell you what, there's a price to be paid. At some point, you have to pay the piper. And this, as far as I know, there are laws against funding criminal enterprises. I'd like for each of you at some point to explain to me, whether you want to do it privately or publicly, how this district attorney's office is not a criminal enterprise. Have any of you checked their conviction rates? Have any of you checked the number of people who have been charged with a crime and then have been dismissed after an investigation, after investigation has commenced, they've been charged, then dismissed later, after their lives have been disrupted? Do any of you care? Or is it okay as long as your people out there in Drippin don't have to face it, Ray? You disgust me.
Sam Brannon.
Sam Brannon, good morning. And I'm here this morning specifically to stand with the Axelrod family. And what many of you should be full aware of what's going on there. And more generally to stand with the others in this county that have had similar things happen to them. And I think the message that you ought to be hearing right now is you are funding very, very bad behavior. It's real easy for you to say, it's really not us, it's these other elected officials, all this stuff. It all comes down to the budget, and you can make that behavior stop. You have a responsibility to the taxpayers here not to fund any department that takes part in any of this behavior. And if you don't know what's happening, as I tell you every time, you can pick up the phone and call me. You can pick up the phone and call some of the people that are out here talking with you. That never happens, so I can only assume that you're not that interested. But you bear the responsibility, and it is going to follow you. And there's a lawsuit taking place right now in Dripping Springs over the elections. And I think what you're going to find out as a result of that is we still have a problem with our elections administrator. Doesn't know how to do a recount. I'm not sure anybody in this room cares. Not anybody on that side of the dais of this podium cares. And we've been talking about that for a year and a half, trying to get you to do your job and oversee that. Oh, no, it's the Elections Commission. Well, who do you think funds that office? Who has the ultimate responsibility? You do. And I don't think any of you sitting up there are prepared to make a decision. I think you're all waiting for somebody who resigned this commission and wants to run for this commission to tell you what you're allowed to do on it. It's being run by people not even in this room. I don't know how you guys look at yourselves in the mirror. Every day, you wake up, you wash your face, you look in the mirror. I don't know what you see looking back at you. I don't see grown-ups. I don't see human beings. If you were grown-ups and human beings, you would be doing things to make this behavior stop. This is dangerous behavior in any community. It's very dangerous. I'm surprised you let it happen.
Thank you, Mr. Brannon. Are there any more public comments?